So what are you getting from the life cycle hook? Today we will look over the life cycle hook of the Angular. So what are you getting from the life cycle hook of the anything, not an
Sir,
Angular?
yeah, sir. Writing their code in inside the lifecycle hook means some logical code using TypeScript, sir.
No, no, not that. Suppose that, just imagine, consider a life cycle of a person, human being. What is that? Any idea?
Rotation, sir.
Yeah, means which type? What is that rotation or whatever?
So some conditions are when way browser means condition wise can
No,
be.
man, human. I telling a human being, just
Yes.
normal person, ourself itself. What is life cycle about ourselves?
Sure, wake up morning, go for office, come evening, eating and sleeping.
That is life cycle. That's not life cycle. Means first we are taking birth. After that we grown up. Then you become child. Then after that you become means your age going to increase slowly. You become young. Then you become old. Like this type. One time you will die. Means what happened? You taken birth. You done some changes. Means in your age it changes from the you was 50 means 5 year old. After some time you become 10 years old. Means you grown up. Correct? After some time you become aged. After that you become old. Lastly you die. This is the life cycle of the human being. Means taken the birth, gone to die, last moment. So same type, the Angular also, not only Angular side, all the languages, they also following like the same pattern. Means suppose just consider the Angular side. So component is there. When we are doing ng serve, it loading the component. After some time, means when we completed our task regarding that particular component, that component will be destroyed. Means it will get die. If you want the same component again, you have to reload that again. Means the life cycle again it started. So suppose that so actually be considering in the Angular case that total 8 life cycle, means you can tell that 8 stages of the life cycle in the Angular. So what those all are? How do you understand what is life cycle?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes,
Means
sir.
we taken birth, some time we die. That become the life cycle. Same type in our component side also. Means component get loaded, component get load, and after some time
Sir, why is not getting?
breaking.
No, sir. I thought in between we didn't spoke.
Yeah, I was not speaking. And now last component will die. Means component will destroy. Got it? Means what happened in middle of this component get load, component get die. In middle of this, many things is happening. Okay, not only this two step. Like our side itself. So suppose any person taken birth, that time he become child. After 5 years, he have to go schools. After that again, he have to go college. After that, he have to go for university, higher education, this, that. Then he have to go for the job. Then something activity he will do. Then lastly, he become aged, he become old, he will destroy. Like that complete life cycle, it's following the same step. Means from here to here, moving between this step, it following same type like our age, it's following the many different changes. Okay, so component will get load, component will destroy. So let's just see what it going to follow in the step by step. First life cycle. First, we are telling constructor, but take care. That is not the part of the life cycle hook. Okay, but you will get everywhere. It is not part of life cycle hook, but everywhere you will get that in the life cycle constructor will be mentioned. What is the reason? I will tell you. But we will, when you attending interview, you can tell that constructor we are considering constructor, but constructor is not part of the life cycle hook. You can tell that clearly. Okay, so from where the life cycle is starting. So first life cycle hook is starting from the NG on change.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, because in constructor we didn't use any actual work. That's why we didn't consider it. This is a part of.
Can't get it. Your voice is breaking. Can't got.
Sir, in constructor we didn't do any actual work. I think
Why?
that's why we are. When we are doing in
No,
constructor,
there is something different reason that I will tell. What? What you told, Samir?
Sir, actually, I'm trying to say in constructor we didn't do any actual work. Might that's why we didn't consider it is the part of life cycle.
No. We are doing that actual work. We can do that. It's not the issue. We can write there also. But means suppose in our life cycle itself, we are doing more and more activity, but we are not considering everything in our life cycle. Correct? But same type, while your life cycle, you will get a lot of activity, a lot of task. Maybe means you can forget that moment also. Means just one day you had done some moment, means some activity that will be memorable. So after some years, you will forget. And after some means like 5 years, 10 years after that, you can't remember a single line of regarding that moment. But that happened during your life cycle. But you are not considering that thing. So what are you considering? Suppose if you will ask, if anybody will ask your journey regarding your career, what you can tell? You had studied in this school, then you had gone to college, then university, or whatever qualification you had done. You are considering that thing. You are not considering that you had given when you was in a first standard, you had given 5 tests. In the second standard, I had written 10 papers. In that, I had got 5 marks, 10 marks, this, that, I got failed, pass. We are not considering. What we are considering overall. But there also it had worked, correct? When we was in 10th standard, means 5th standard or one standard, first standard. So that time we had a study. We had got the marks. We had to perform all the things. But after some years, you forget that how much marks you had obtained. But that was in your journey itself. But anyway, we had forget because we not kept that as a more and more important. So like that, you can consider constructor side also. We are not considering this as a life cycle hook. Okay. So first life cycle hook is starting from the NG on change. First, we will write all the life cycle hook. After that, we will go one by one. What is the need? So first NG on change. After that,
Sir,
yeah,
in means life cycle definition, sir.
life cycle is there is nobody will ask you definition. Life cycle means how the component will load and what are the means the journey between the component get load and component destroy. You can tell like that. Journey of component loading, journey of loading of the component to the destroy of the component. Journey between the loading of the component to the destroy till the destroy of the component. You can write that. Journey between loading of component, maybe a spelling COMPONENT component to the till destroy of the component. Journey between loading of the component till destroy of the component. If you want, you can note down this one.
I already noted.
Okay. Okay. So ng on change, then we moving to the ng on init. Okay. ng on init, I think everybody know. What means we have not idea much more, but we had listen at least. ng
Yes.
on init.
Yes, sir.
After this, ng do check. ng do ch ng do check. Then next ng after content init. ng after
Sir, ng init या ng on init.
ng sorry, ng on init. I written mistake. Actually, suddenly he asked regarding the definition of life cycle. I missed that one. ng on init. ng to check. ng after con content. I here again that mistake. Don't write this way. Wait.
But I know.
Write in this way because this will be easy for learning. I will tell you that. So right here, write that constructor constructor pass here ng on init ng on init. After that ng after content init.
Sir, ng on change.
Oh, sorry. Again, I written it out. Wait. I will write from here. That will become too much. Each time going mistake. Constructor, then ng on change. Oh, sorry. ng on change. Then it's ng on init. Then ng do check. Mind this sequence. Sequence is the main thing. Otherwise, you will forget in middle. ng after content init. ng do check. ng do check. And ng after content init. Right. Where it gone? After content init. After content checked. Last ng destroy. Just one time compare. ng on change init, ng to check, ng on change init to check, ng after content init, ng after content init, ng after content check, ng after view init, ng after view check, ng on destroy. That's fine. So see, how many life cycle total? Total 8 we are considering. We are not considering this constructor. Let's ignore this constructor section. But after this, we will keep in mind all. How we will remember this all name? And this all name you have to learn, means you have to keep in mind in the sequence order itself. So first it will be a start with the ng on change. So first is ng on change. Second is ng do check. Sorry, ng on init. Third is ng do check. Fourth is ng after content init. Fifth, this one. Then sixth, then seventh, and then 8, like this type. So see, for keeping in mind, it's very simple. First, ng on change, ng on init, ng to check. It will be continue in one cycle. You can easily keep in mind this 3 step. ng on change, init, ng to check. After this, what you will realize, what is this ng on init? Oh, first letter only. This first one, init. And you can check that ng after content init. Okay, what is this? ng do check. See here, check. Okay, then again ng after view init. See that init means alternate is going. First ng on init, then check. Init means initialization of something. Check means checking of something. Okay, so first initialize, then check. Again, what we have done? Initialize, then again check. What we are checking? See, ng after content init means we are initializing ng after content. Okay, and same cheese we are checking ng after content check. Got it? Then view, ng after view init, view. Okay, and again ng after view checked. You can see that ng after view check. Then last is ng on destroy. That's it. And you got the idea how we can keep in mind this thing.
Yes, sir. Initialize in sequence and check
Yeah.
in sequence.
Just keep in mind, first initialize, then check. Okay, initialize the something, then check. Then be going for the, then second step, content, then view. Means ng after content init, ng after content check, ng after view init, ng after view check. That's it. Because if you will attend interview, then sure and short this question they are asking. Okay, because this is the main thing of Angular. If you going in React, the life cycle hook of React is the main. How you will perform the different tasks, that is the main thing. Okay, so now go one by one. Up to here, anyone having doubt how we can keep in mind this one? How we will remember? If anyone have issue, then you can ask. I will give 1 minute. Otherwise, I will move to next.
No, sir, it's quite easy, sir. Whatever you give.
Okay, fine. So like that tricks actually you can keep in mind. It's very simple. But don't write this in the sequence, one line. Okay, otherwise you will not get. If you will write this in one line, means we had written alternate like this way, then we can keep in mind easily. If you will write in one top to bottom, you will not get it. That will become the problem. That's why. Okay, fine. So let's start from the constructor. So what means constructor? Who can tell? What is the use of constructor? Any idea? Okay, so constructor means
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
you can.
Means basically constructor is default method of the class, and that is basically used for initialize the class members.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So constructor means, 1 second, let me load the project. Okay, so constructor means whatever code we have to initialize on the page load itself. Okay, so that you can keep inside the constructor. Means like, see here, what it's going to check. This is invoked when Angular creates component or directive by calling the new on the class keyword. Means on the class. Means when your application we are starting, we created that ng serve. Our application got start. Means it's start serving the application, and when it loading on the means UI, suddenly before the starting of the life cycle, before starting of the life cycle, you can't means you can't get visualization easily regarding the effect. But if we will write something in console, we will get the idea really that is working or not, that thing. But we will check that. So inside the constructor, when you will serve that, you will browse the application, suddenly your constructor will start first. Whatever code you will write, it will be get executed, whatever we will write inside the constructor. That's why we are providing the dependency injection inside the constructor, not inside the ng on change or ng on init, because first of when the application get started, first your constructor will get execute. Okay, and suppose that you have to go market, or otherwise just imagine you have to take breakfast. Okay, and you seated for the breakfast, and suppose you want to take something like bread, but suppose bread is not there, what you can do? You can't take the breakfast, correct? So suppose you have to take the breakfast, so bread should be available, then only you can take breakfast. Otherwise you can't take. Same type, suppose you want x value. Okay, on your page load you want to show the username, so someone have to call the username, someone have to call user data, then only you can get. That's why we are injecting service inside the constructor, because we want some data from the constructor, sorry, service. Just imagine user list, user data is there, so I want the all the user data before loading of the application. So if we will pass this inside ng on change or ng on init, we will not get the data. So that's why we are passing inside the constructor. Means what I told, if you have to take breakfast, your lunch means breakfast material should be ready, should be available, then only you can take the breakfast. It's not like you had seated for the breakfast and now you going to bring the material, so you will not get like that. So we have to pass all the injector inside the constructor. Means whatever services are there, what are the different third party service or router or these all things, so we will pass inside the constructor, not inside the life cycle pattern, means life cycle steps of the Angular, nowhere except constructor. So we will pass all the dependency injection only and only inside the constructor, not inside anyone. Clear? And second thing, whatever code you will write inside the constructor, that will get execute first. Okay, before running of the application. Now we will see something. We had called, I think, service somewhere. I think inside data too. Yeah. So now see, you can realize here. Let it to be this data too. Okay. Now you can see that inside constructor, we had passed product service. Means what I told, we can inject all the dependency injection. We will inject inside the constructor because I want that material or that data should be available before your life cycle. Means if you have to take breakfast, so all the breakfast material should be cooked before you sitting on the table. Got it? So that's why we will inject all the dependency inside the constructor, not inside the ng on init. And same thing we had verified also by passing this complete line inside the which one, ng on init. And one thing, we are not writing the code, we are injecting as a parameter. Okay, that's why we are writing inside this parenthesis. If you have to write the code, means your code should be inside this curly bracket, not inside the parenthesis. Okay, but if you have to inject, you have to pass inside the parenthesis. So What we had done, we passed the data inside the parenthesis as like the argument, as we are passing argument. So like that itself, we are passing inside the parenthesis. And here you can see that product service, as we had passed inside this parenthesis, we start getting the error. Why? Because now don't think why, what is the reason. Just put cursor over there. You will get the automatic suggestion. Something issue is there. So what is there? It's nothing. Go next line. What is telling? Product data service is the declared. It's declared, but its value is never used. Second line, a parameter property is only allowed in a constructor. Got it? Means you can't pass any type of dependency injection inside the ng on init. Means any lifecycle hook. You can simply tell that inside any lifecycle hook, you can pass only and only inside the constructor. And keep in mind, constructor is not the part of the lifecycle hook. So now we can, but whatever code, whatever work we are doing inside ng on init, same thing we can do inside the constructor also. You will not get error. You will get the data, whatever data is there, you will get that. Let's start something. So let's write one console here. And what is this? Inside constructor. Now we had not called this constructor anywhere because constructor is getting self-execute. No need to call the constructor. Now let's load the application and let's see. Where is the data? Data is there. Maybe I think HTTP. Let's see. No, not this one. Yeah, okay, this one. So now what I getting? I getting inside constructor. Okay, let's comment this line. Product service. Where is console? What we getting? 70. Where? Line number 263. Oh, sorry. Line number 19. Component.ts.
Yes,
Line
sir.
number 9.
You can X value 20 and 50.
Yeah, that's 15. I want actually constructor part. I do not want this extra data. Okay, so what happened? What I got? We got inside constructor. Means whatever code we had written inside the constructor, it got executed. Means whatever task we want, we can perform inside the constructor. But regarding the ingestion of that data, we will do always and always inside the constructor. And why we're doing inside the constructor? We want our breakfast should ready. Means we want all the material should be available before I sitting for the breakfast. Okay, that's why like that itself, our services or whatever injection you want, dependency injection, all should be inject inside the constructor so that only data will be available before the use. Means when we going to use that data, before that itself our data will be ready, so we can get that data. Clear? Okay, so anyone having issue in the constructor, you can.
So can we write the definition?
Definition. Okay, I will give you this one. Otherwise, we can write that later. No issue. Otherwise, yeah, just write on.
Sir, there is this is in Vogue in Angular create.
Invoke in the sense
Calling.
this is not coming under life cycle. and we are not calling. What is happening actually? Constructor is getting called automatic, not calling self-called. Already we had seen in JavaScript. See, one thing I will tell you, whatever logic we are learning, means either what is constructor and what is a method, what is function. So these all are no any language dependent. That suppose you learning Java and you will think there what is constructor. So whatever you have learned in Angular or JavaScript or TypeScript, the same concept is there also. Okay, so there is no any that language dependent, that this we had a study in the JavaScript, so that is valid for JavaScript only. So it's not like that. So constructor already we had seen in the JavaScript, that how we can pass the argument, how we can get that data, each thing we had seen. Okay, so constructor nobody is calling, it get automatic self called. Clear? If you want to write what is constructor, you can note down.
Okay, sir. Go on, sir.
Yeah, just write this line itself. One line is enough. This is invoked. First make this diagram actually. After that only you can write down. First make this diagram. After that we will write one by one. Who had not drawn, please draw that. And don't write spelling mistake. That is the main thing. If you will miss a single, it will get changed. Like checked is there, and if you miss checked and you written in it, it get altered. Okay, so keep in mind. Once you will write, just let me know. Written. It's done or not?
Done, sir.
Yes, sir.
All done.
Yes.
Okay, so write down the constructor. So constructor, just wait. It's not here. Life cycle hook. Write down this one. This is invoked. This invoked when. This invoked when. This invoked when. Why my cursor is not working? Okay. This invoked when. One second. Access is not there. Okay, got it. Okay, write down. This invoked when Angular creates a component. This invoked when Angular creates a component. This invoked or directive or directive or directives. Why calling by calling new on the class, by calling new, that is keyword new on the class, by calling new on the class. Next line inside that itself with or, either this one, either that one, or it will called, it will called, it will called before the component have to load, before the component have to load. Write down next line. All the dependency injection, all the dependency injection, all the dependency injection, we will pass, we will pass, we will pass inside the constructor. All the dependency injection, BR, all the dependency injection,
We will pass.
we will pass inside the constructor. What I told, constructor itself, na?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we will pass inside the constructor. So why we passing inside the constructor? We passing, write down next, we passing dependency injection, we passing dependency injection, we passing dependency injection inside constructor, inside constructor, we passing dependency injection inside the constructor because because we want data to be available, we want data to be available, we want data to be available before the component life cycle got started, before component life cycle got started, before component life cycle got started. Done or pending?
Done, sir.
Okay. If you want, note down one examples there. Write down this one, just this line. Don't write that comment section. Remaining constructor, product, service, whatever is there, just write down. Done.
Yes, sir.
What about others? Everyone written? Then we will move next. Once
Yes, sir.
you're done, please inform. Roshan, Vivekanand, Sweta, everyone completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So next line. Next, ng on init. Sorry, ng on change. Write down ng on change. So write down in ng on change. Write down this line. Invoked ng on change. Invoked every time. Invoked every time. Invoked every time there is. Invoked every time there is a change. There is a change. There is a change in one of the input property. Change one of the input property of the component. Property of the component. Input property of the component. It means that whenever there will be change detected inside input property, which input property? Not that HTML input property. Okay, at the rate input is there. We will learn that is pending. So that one, like we will pass input. Okay, So this is actually input property. So we will take the data, we will pass. So like that, whenever there will be change detected inside this input, so that time only ng on change will get called. Okay, so ng on change will called when when there will be change detected inside the input property. That time only ng on change will get called. Now let me show one examples. Constructor, take this ng on change. See, second thing, whether you writing any method on the first line or last line, it not going to take, means it not going to create the problem. Like here you can see that ng on change I had written third, ng on init I written on the second. We not get any problem. Okay. Now comment this, check this. Data equal to, and we have to pass this data from somewhere. This is joke component, and what, 1 second. Yeah, that's fine. This is our HTML. Let's take this. What is that component name? Joke component. That fine. This is joke list. Sorry. Component. Let me create one component. Sorry. It's become again wrong. G for generate, C for component, JOKELIST. List. So take this joke list on your joke list component. joke list component, that's fine. Now take the data. So take this method, add and delete also. Let it to be create one more, that's fine. G zipper component JOKE. Let add this one inside the routing. There is routing. Navigation bar is here. Yeah. Joke and one is joke list. Okay. Joke list. Now come to the routing. Take one routing. Okay. What is the component? Okay. Okay, list. Anyway, this got ready. Now come to our side. Remove this also. Okay, so what we written? We written that one joke component. Okay, we not done anything on this page. Let's see anything we have to do. Class simple change equal to no need beyond change. This let it to be interface. This also no need. Joke. So where is this one? Data. Okay. Joke list buttons is there already be done. Yeah, this one. Class joke list is given, add element with component given. I think we given all the things. Let's run this. Let's see what we are getting. Actually, app routing, sorry, HTML, the joke, this is joke list. Maybe getting joke list. Oh, this together. Okay, so one is a joke. Just click on joke. What we getting? We not getting. Now click here. Now see. In this, what we had done, we added two methods. One is for joke, one is for clear joke. So on which one? Joke list component. So joke list component, we had added just one button, means two button, add for clear. Okay, go to that component. You not have to take care regarding, you not have to don't care regarding this one. You will get that, what we have to do. Joke square bracket equal to code section. That's fine. This delete, that's fine. Template, browse module already, that's okay. Let's see now. Add joke is not a function. What is the problem? Add jokes already there. Okay. Class joke. I think this one is problem. Joke is not a function. Joke list component dot add joke. Line number 16. 16. We are written joke list. Button click add joke. Delete joke. Data is coming here or not? Wait. Add joke, no. Cannot find joke. Last star. Okay, fine. Now let's see what we had done actually. So I want to check each one, means each method, whether that method is calling or not. So what we had done, we checked inside the constructor. Okay, let's comment this all. Just we had written one line of code. We had not written anything. So what we had written, why it's getting error? Okay, got it. Due to ng on init, let it to be this and comment. So what are we getting here? We get constructor. We are asking data, this dot data. But where is this dot data? This data here, okay? But this data is coming from somewhere. But right now, just ignore that how data is coming. But just imagine this line get executing or not. That thing only. Where that error? Last line. Okay, so now just click on add jokes. What happened? We got just whatever data is there on our UI side, but we not got in the control. Why? What is that component? Constructor new data form. This dot data. So constructor have to call. Joke list is there. Joke component. Okay, this not got called. This component is not loading actually. So add joke, that's fine. This delete joke. That time it was coming actually. Just 1 second. Constructor. Okay. Joke. Implement Indian change. Indian init. Button add jokes dot unshipped new joke. I think I calling the wrong one. this joke list. Let's pass this one. Okay, so we got here joke in that new and data is undefined because that data is coming from there. Let it to be that undefined or whatever. But what happened actually, we getting that data. This is on the constructor side. This is inside the constructor. So this got called. Okay. Second, ng on change. So whenever there will be change detected inside ng on change, okay, that sorry, input property. Whenever there will be change detected inside the input property, that time only this ng on change will get called. Otherwise, it will not get called. 1 second, just why that one is not calling? Somewhere selector is missing. Where is that? Go to code. Let me run the code. Stack bullets. We return here itself. Joke ng on change. Yeah, this is the selector. Joke list. Joke list. Detect joke selector. Fine. Button on click. Add joke. Here we passing this one. Let's check here. Open console. It's fine. It's getting called. Anyone having idea from where that code is breaking? I think this one. Joke list have to call. That's fine. Let's call joke list. Joke list. Okay. Add joke. We getting the data, but it's not passing on that other component. Means it have to call joke component. So where is joke component? This one. And just wait, where that is breaking actually. This is app list. Let's copy this one. Yeah, now it should have to work. Think that. Let's see. Somewhere selector is too much. Yeah, that's it. Fine. But why data is undefined? Second. Let j of jokes joke list component dot ts joke list. This data is coming from joke component dot ts joke constructor setup table hide. Okay, anyway, that is also coming undefined. It's fine. So let's see what we have to do. So now, yeah, so ng on change. Here, what we are doing, we are passing means it will invoked only and only when there will be change detected inside the input property. Okay, it will be change detected inside the input property. That time only ng on change will come call. So let's see here. What is there calling? New. Let me write that whether constructor or what. So it become easy. Constructor. Okay. Then ng on change. Okay, that's fine. Then ng on init. Yeah, fine. So let's see now. So now click on add button. So once we clicked, what we getting? We getting constructor first, new data, something is there. Then we getting different. Whatever is there, it getting called all in the sequence way. Okay. So ng on change, it will get called only and only when there will be change detected. If there is no change detected, it will not get called. Second, ng on init, it will get called as like a constructor itself. So had you written this ng on change? Hello? Had you written the definition of ng on change?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So just write the examples also. Okay, just write examples as well. And here we can write comma implement. 1 second. How to write implement? Wait, I forgot that one actually. Yeah, this one. Class implements a comma. Actually, what we have to do here, we implemented on init because we are calling this on init. Okay, so if you will implement others also, like ng on change be implementing, so we have to pass each one with a comma separated. Okay, so like ng on change. So just check what is there on change. We have to pass each one, then only it will work. Okay, so now, so ng on change, when it will get called, it will get called only and only when there will be change detected inside the input property. Sorry, yeah, input property. Clear? So now go to next, that is ng on init. So ng on init, it is equivalent to the constructor. Means when you will start writing code and when you done some execution, your code which is written inside ng on init, that will get execute. Means you can tell that whatever you will write before ng on change itself, ng on init will get execute. Ng on change is coming in the second sequence. Means you can tell if you ignoring constructor, then first line is ng on change, but ng on change will only get called when input property will called. Input property change detector will be available. Means there will be change inside the input property. Then only ng on change will get called. Clear? Second, ng on init. It will get called each time when you loading the component. Means during the starting of the life cycle hook itself. So write down that first. ng on init. Then we will move next. Write down ng on init. So ng on init, it will get called invoked when given component has been initialized. This is only called once after the first change. Okay. 1 second. It get called on component. Called on component. Write down this one. It will called ng on init. It will called on component load time. It will called on component load time. Means during a starting of the life cycle. You can write down that during a starting of the life cycle hook. During a starting of the life cycle hook. Fine. And one more thing is there. This ng on init. In interview, sometimes they are asking how much time, how many time this will get called. Means each one, like ng on init is there, ng on change is there. So how many time it will get execute? So ng on init, it will get execute only and only one time. It will not execute each time, but it will execute each time when we are loading the component. When we will load the component, so that time it will get execute, but it will execute only one time. So if you written any line of code inside ng on init, so just think when your component, when your project will start, during a starting time, you will get the output. Got it? So your means suppose you want some value, means you want some data during page load itself. So during page load, you want data, means you will keep inside that method inside ng on init. But you will get data only one time during page load time only. If you had make any changes, suppose that input field is there. Suppose just imagine you are passing input field. Inside that you are passing data. Means just imagine registration field, registration page, and list of the user. Means what you will do, each time user is entering the detail in the registration form, but page is but ng on init. Suppose you had and list of the students are there, you had executed, you had kept that method getting list of a student inside ng on init. Suppose that. So what happened when the application will load, life cycle will start, that time only you will get ng on init code there. Means whatever logic you had written, you will get output only one time when page will load, but you will not get output again next time when you making change in your input field. Suppose that, just imagine this is your input field and this is your list of data. So suppose this list of data, you calling this list of data on ng on init. I will write directly on init. In the sense, what happened when page will load, that time you will get the data, you will get the record. But now I entered a new record here, ABC. What are you thinking? You will get the data in your new means whatever you entering here, you will get this one here in this list or not? What are you thinking? Means I had this list of students is there. So list of a student method is there. We had written method. So that method be called inside ng on init. Okay, it means that it will get execute one time. But now I had entered the ABC in input field and I want that data. But what are you thinking? You will get data inside the data list of the user or not? Because we calling that method inside ng on init. What are you thinking? It will come or not? When we will enter new record, when we enter new record, that so that time the data will come or not? So data will not come because this ng on init, it had get executed only one time, page load time. Means this list of user is getting called only one time. Okay, so if you will reload the page, that this record will get updated and this data will be listed there. Okay, means this ABC will be listed there, but suppose there is a requirement as you entered ABC, you clicking that submit button, your list should be update. Whatever student record is there, your list should be update there. So in that situation, we will take that means for the starting time, we will go with the ng on in it, but we will call that method again on the button click. Suppose we had written one method, get data or get user, this method. Okay, so this method we have to call inside ng on init. So on page load, you will get all the record. Second thing, you want this record again when we submitting the new record, means on this button click. Suppose that on this button click you want. So again, you have to call this method here, get user or something, get user data, whatever. Got it? Means 2 times we will call this method. So during a starting time, we will get all the record due to ng on init. Second time, we will update the list due to submit button is there. So inside submit button, we will call that method again. So we will get the new record in the list. Anyway, that record is saving in your database, but it will not reflect in your list. That's why we will go again inside the submit button. Clear? Had you got some idea or not? What is the use of ng on init and how we will get the data during page load? So keep in mind, if someone told you there is a requirement that to get the record on page load in the sense during loading of the application, it means that you have to keep that code inside ng on init. Clear? Praful, Roshan, Sweta, whatever is there available.
Yes.
Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, so as like means not only ng on init, you can pass the same line of code inside constructor also. Got it? Means suppose this list of get user, this method, will give you list of the student. You can pass inside either in constructor or either in ng on init, but you will get this record only one time. Means you will get a list of user only one time, because it will not going to refresh the page automatic. So that's why when we want data on page load, we will pass inside ng on init or either in constructor, anyone. It's not going to create the problem. Okay, but in some case you will see that you can't pass inside constructor. That time you have to pass inside ng on init. Got it? So we cover 3 things: constructor, ng on change, ng on init. Anyone having issue in this 3? You can ask. Any issue? Okay. No issue? Okay, fine. If you want, you can note down the definition. So already we had written that ng on init, but if you want, write some more explanation for the ng on init. Write down when we want data on page load. When we want data on page load. When we want data on page load. In that situation, we will call method inside either constructor. We will call method inside our either constructor or ng on init. We will call method inside either constructor or ng on init. Either constructor or ng on init. Write down below demerit. Demerit. What is demerit? Can anyone? What is means we will get data on the page load. Then what is the demerit actually? We will get updated data. Means if we entered some new record, we will get that updated record in the list. No. Yeah. So that is the problem. So in the demerit, you can note down. If we entering new record, new data, if we entering new data, if we entering new data, that new data will not update data list, will not update in the data list, because ng on init, because ng on init or constructor, because ng on init or constructor will execute only once at a time. Will execute only once at a time. Clear? Or having any issue?
Yes, sir.
Clear? And next thing, when ng on init will get called. Next point, when ng on init will get called, what should we answer? Who is getting called before the ng on init? See, everything sequence is there. Okay, first constructor getting executed. Okay, before starting life cycle hook, and who is coming inside the life cycle? So inside life cycle, this ng on change is coming. Means these all are coming inside the life cycle hook, except constructor. Means constructor is calling first. Okay, constructor is calling first. So second, when life cycle is starting, who is calling first? Except constructor, which will get called?
NG on change.
ng on change. After that,
NG on init.
ng on init. It means that ng on init will get called after which one? ng on change. Is it clear?
So NG do change na, sir, after that?
No. That will be next. Means
Okay.
ng on change. Write down that ng on change. Sorry, ng on init. ng on init will get called after ng on change. Means ng on init will called after ng on change. First ng on change, then ng on init. It's clear?
Yes, sir. Now.
Okay. Now go to third one. ng do check. What are you getting from the term itself? Let it to be definition. What are you getting from the term ng do check? Any idea? So see what it's doing. Go to Angular website. 1 second. Yeah. So see here what it's stating. Detect and act upon changes that Angular can't or won't detect on its own. Called immediately after on. See, when you telling means when you giving the interview and when you telling about that explanation of the life cycle hook. So in that situation, actually you can or increasing the lines, number of lines, because otherwise if you will speak only one line like ng on init, it will get called first. That's it. So in the one line, maybe he not taken care. Okay, so just you have to explain somewhat more. It will be easy, means it will be helpful for the others. So what point you can add when that will get called, means like ng on init. So ng on init will get called after ng on change. So like that we can add 1 or 2 points. So that will be more, means you going to take the focus of the interviewer on your side. Okay, so like that if we will explain 1 more line, 2 more line, so that will be good actually. Okay, so now go to the ng do check. So ng do check, what it going to do, it going to invoke when the change detector of the given component is invoked. Means write down the definition, the same line, ng do check invoked, ng do check invoked when ng do check invoked when the change detector of the given component is invoked. Write down this both line, up and down. It allows us to implement our own change detection algorithm for the given component. ng do check. Once you're done, just let me know. ng do check. Completed.
No.
Once done, just let me know. Completed. So now see, when this ng do check will get executed, it will get invoked when we are invoking, when the change detector of the given component is invoked. Means something who going to detect the changes, like in on change, ng on change, what it was going to do, it was checking when there will be changes detected due to input property. Correct? In the ng on change, you can see here what B was taking. B was taking care of the input property. And what is this input property? So input property, look over the code. We are passing something. This one at the rate input. So this is the input property. Okay. So whenever there is invoked in, when there will be change detector detected inside the input, that time only then we can tell that there is a on change, means this will get called on change event. So as like that, when there will be change detector algorithms, okay, any method or anything, anyone going to detect the changes, you can observe here, invoked when the change detector of the given component is invoked. Okay, so that time means here also it going to detect the changes, but it allow us to implement our own change detector algorithms. Means input output property was there. If we want to detect some changes, we can do our side also. So in that situation, this ng do check will get called. Something important points is there. We will write that also, but before that, just let it to be. So what is that? ng do check and ng on change should not be implemented together on the same component. Can anyone explain this line? What means this? What are you getting from this line actually? Whatever you understand, whether correct, incorrect, that's not issue. Whatever you got, just tell me.
Sir, here ng do check and ng on change should not be implemented. मतलब here TS page पे एक साथ में implement नहीं कर सकते.
But what is the reason? Okay, that's fine. But why we can't implement on the same page together? What is the reason? Can anyone? Why we can't implement both together? Because what ng change will do? ng on change? When it will detect, when it will get called? When there will be changes detected, correct? In the input property. Then ng on change means indirectly we can tell ng on change will get called when changes will be detected, correct? Same type, ng do check is also calling. This will also get called when there will be change detected, correct or not? So if you will implement both ng do check and ng on change on same page, then it will get confused that which one we have to implement, because both is going to detect the changes itself. So that's why we will not implement ng on change and ng do check on same component. Is this clear now or not? So what means implementation? Let's look over the code, what we had written here. So how we are checking ng on change? We written one console. Suppose tomorrow you want to do some logic, you want to write some logic, you can write inside this. Either otherwise, if you written somewhere and you want to call that method on inside ng on change, no issue. You can call that method inside this one. We already know how to call the method. Suppose as like function call, we are taking the name and we are passing inside. So like that means, but you have to write this actually ng on change, ng on init, this one. But when we will write this ng on change, ng on init, we have to write here implements. Okay, ng on init, ng on changes. Whatever you going to implement, you have to pass that. Then only it will work. Otherwise, it will not work. Got it? So this is the point. So that's why ng on change and ng do check. Now we already written ng do check. Let's uncomment and let's implement. So how we will do that? Do check. We get session. Yeah. So session is there. Now save and let's see whether we are getting this one or not. But for right now, see what we had done. We implementing both ng do check also and that also. And one thing, take care. Maybe you will get many times this error. Means when you will means comment. When you will comment, and if you had already added in this implements section, that's why we getting error. If you not want to use, just uncomment and remove this as well. Okay. Otherwise, you will get the error. I will comment. Let's try this one. Just wait. Okay. Now click add. So when we click add, we getting called this one. Let's do now one thing. ng do change is there. Just change the position. Let's see whether we getting output same or it's different. Do check is now first, init is on the second. Let's see what output is there we getting. Click that. What is the output? ng on init is on the second and ng do check is the third. What do you understand from this one? See that sequence. Do check is first, line number 37, and ng on init is on line number 41. But then also be getting sequence like ng on init first, ng do check first, second. Why? Because the life cycle hook starting from like that itself. Okay. Means if you will consider our life cycle, means first be taking birth, then be our child, then you going for a school, then you going for the college, then university. Like that sequence is there. We can't go directly university or directly we can't be the young. Okay, first we have to child. So like that some sequence is there. Means you can't reverse that sequence. You can't change that sequence. So like that itself. So in the life cycle hook of Angular also, whether you writing that code first or second, if the sequence of life cycle to be if the sequence of life cycle is there, it will execute. Otherwise, it will do the delay. Means suppose what is the problem? Now you can imagine one thing. Console is there. Okay. Just I will write something. I have this dot. What is the problem? Why we are going in sequence way? You will imagine now. This dot. UTY. Take this as a variable. Mark this as a variable. This value I want somewhere. Let's declare this QTY. So now just imagine this QTY I want equal to 5. Okay, and I will pass here QTY equal to 5. Now tell me what should be the output? QTY equal to 5. It means NG on init will get this value, correct or not? This value QT5, QTY equal to 5, NG on init should have to get. Let's verify whether we getting this 5 or not inside NG on init. Then you will realize the problem. I don't know whether it will come or not. Let's try. So I have, what is this? Undefined. And where is that 5? Okay, 5 is not written. Now tell me, what is the problem? Already this 5 is on the top level, but then also we not get the value. What is the issue? Can anyone? But you can do one thing. Just copy this line, pass inside NG on init, okay, and copy this line. Sorry, copy this itself. That's it. Pass inside here. Let's save now. Now just see whether we getting the value or not. Then I will explain the region and you can also explain that. No need to explain from my end. Now tell me what I got. I have 5. Why previously I had not got and why I got now? I have 5 and NG do check also. It also getting this. I have 5. What is the region? Because this dot quantity now be writing in the second next line. But we are using this here. So anyway, value should be available. But why we not get value in the line number 40? Means when we was writing opposite, suppose when we written quantity equal to 30 in the 39, why we was getting undefined? Who can explain? Here in this situation you had seen that we got the value. Now go back previous situation. Yeah, this situation. Now just verify. We will get undefined. What we got? We got undefined. Now tell me the region why we getting, who can explain? Go to the code. If you got this point, actually, this is very simple point. Nothing is there. But if you will understand this point, then you will get what is going in the life cycle hook. Then you will easily understand when to use, when not, and how to use. Who can explain? I want the explanation regarding this dot qt equal to 5, line number 39. Okay, inside ng on ng do check, and when we writing inside ng on init, why we getting undefined? Because value already I declared that one. Line number 39 already we had provided the value, but then also before using we already passed that value. Then also why we get error undefined? Who can explain? Roshan, Praful, Sweta. Mind at least.
NG on init after first execute NG on init after execute NG do check.
Yeah, correct. So this is first which will get execute either ng on init or either ng do check. Which will execute first?
NG
NG
on
on
ng on init. Now just imagine if your ng on init means in your life cycle hook, ng on init is coming first, then what it written there? When it executed, I have khali sthan means this dot quantity. It wants some value, but where is this value? Value is written inside ng do check. Now just tell me when ng on init had executed, had this code executed this one ng do check? No, because after ng on init only the number of the ng do check will come. Correct or not? First sequence is of ng on init, then next sequence is of ng do check. Is this clear? That's why when this got executed ng on init, because this is on the second number, first number is ng on change. Correct? So let it to be uncomment. First sequence is ng on change, second sequence is ng on init, third sequence is ng do check. So in second sequence ng on init, this dot quantity value is not there. That's why we got undefined. But when we putting the same this dot quantity in upper line ng do check, and when we passing the value this dot quantity equal to 5 inside ng on init, it's working fine. So now I think you got clear that according to lifecycle hook, we have to put our code, suppose according to requirement. Otherwise, if you will think like the sequence, this is JavaScript, that's fine. But when you came with the that lifecycle hook, JavaScript sequence by execution got failed. Execution already we know that in the JavaScript line by line execution. Here it got failed because already if we had already defined this dot quantity equal to 5, but then also be getting here undefined. Reason is only one, because of this method. Okay, it's same thing if this not consider life cycle hook. If suppose you have method, some method like get data, this is one method. Second method, get value, this is second method. If now just tell me, if you executing this line first, this line second, and suppose some data is required from the first 2 seconds, it will give you error because line by line execution. Suppose the data is not available, then we will get error. Same thing is happening in our side also. ng on init and ng do check. Is it clear or having any doubt? Anyone? This should be important. I want from each member, it should be clear. If you have a single doubt, you can ask. I will explain again. Because if you understand this point, it means, yeah. So see, which is going to execute first, ng on init or ng do check?
ng on
init. It means that whatever code we will write inside this ng on init, that will get executed first. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
And ng do check will execute after ng on init because of life cycle hook. Correct? Now just tell me. So out of this 3 means just remove this ng on change. Out of these 2, which will get executed first? On init?
On init, sir.
Correct? Inside on init, what is the code written? This dot quantity, this dot data, 2 variables is there. Correct or not?
Yes.
2 variable. Now tell me, what is the value of this dot quantity?
5, sir.
5. That's okay. But now tell me, is this method got executed before ng on init?
No, sir.
No, because this sequence number, serial number, or whatever you can tell, order of ng do check will come after ng on init. Correct or not? Due to the life cycle hook. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
But now just imagine when you had executed this line of code, that time the value of this dot quantity is not available because this dot quantity value is coming from ng do check, and this ng do check not get executed before ng on init because of life cycle hook. But when we had done alter reverse order, means this dot quantity inside ng on init, and this dot quantity means suppose in place of here, if you will write which one, just I will write normal. Okay, sorry, dollar wait. UTY, this dot quantity, and now see, now tell me. Now this dot quantity equal to 5. ng on init will execute first before of ng do check, correct? So this dot quantity equal to 5. That line of code get executed, means now I have quantity value equal to 5. Now whether you want to print or you want to do anything, you can do because you got the value. So next line, ng do check method will get execute because after ng on init, we will get the chance of ng do check. So ng do check will get execute, and that time we will get this dot quantity. And now I have already this value. This value equal to 5 because it got executed already in ng on init. So it will not give undefined. Clear, Roshan? Or still having doubt?
No, sir, it's clear.
Clear? So this is the sequence. Actually, we have to take care when we passing any type of logic. So order is the main thing. Okay, and here you know that life sequence is the main thing. Life cycle, which will execute first, which will second. That's why I had told when you keeping in mind the order wise. Constructor is first, then ng on change, ng on init, ng do check. Like this type you have to go. Now I will go with just last ng on destroy, and later I will go with all remaining. So how we will go with ng on destroy? Let's see. What you getting? This is very simple. Okay, and what you getting from this ng on destroy? What you getting? हाँ just last ये वाला ये करके just 1 second. So what you getting from ng on destroy? Means what you getting from destroy term? No need this angular. Destroy means finish. Same thing is there. ng on destroy. Suppose you written some line of code. Okay, but when you moving from one component to another component, how we are moving? With the help of navigation bar. Correct. So when we moving from one page to another page, one component to another component, so whatever code we had written previous component, I want to delete all the method. I want to stop all the method. So what you can do? You can keep that line of code inside ng on destroy. It means that will get automatic close, automatic stop. You will not use the memory. Okay, why we are doing this one ng on destroy? To saving the memory purpose. Just I telling you simple example. Suppose you running the timer. Okay, you running timer, and you know what will happen? If you will not stop this timer, the countdown will start and it will go up to unlimited, whatever it's going on, like 1 2 3 4. It will continue going on. Now the problem is that it will not stop if you will move from one component to another component also, because you had not stopped that method. You had not stopped that timer. So what you have to do? You have to call that timer method inside ng on destroy. Like suppose our method name is timer, and this is our method. Okay, timer method. So we have to call this method inside the ng on destroy. So what happened when we will move from one component to another component? Automatic, your timer will get a stop. Clear? So whenever there is a need to stop that execution of some method, you can go with ng on timer. Sorry, ng on destroy. Clear? So we covered 4 methods. Remaining life cycle, we will see tomorrow. If anyone having any issue, you can ask.